Tonight, Commissioner Abraham will be doing our invocation, and then later, for the Pledge of Allegiance, we have Busy Banks here with community coming together. So if everyone will stand for the invocation.
Our Father which art in heaven, we thank you so much for today. We thank you for our guests. We thank you for the young ladies that are here in our presence. Father, our prayer is just that our community truly comes together. Let us sit down and have dialogue on those things that we differ on. Let us take a common sense approach to those things that sometimes we overthink. These things we ask in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen. Busy, if you all want to come on up to the microphone. As soon as we do the pledge, I'd like for you to introduce all the young ladies with you. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to its republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was excellent. Thank you. You want to introduce yourselves?
Yes, my name is Anthony Ellison, CEO of Community Coming Together.
My name is Ziana Shumpert, and I'll go to Morgan Elementary.
My name is Trinity Henderson, and I go to Paducah Middle School. My name is Mia Shumpert, and I go to Morgan Elementary. My name is Samaya Shumpert, and I go to Morgan Elementary School.
My name is Jomaya Case, and I go to McNabb Elementary.
Well, young ladies, we thank you so much for coming tonight and helping us, and we'd love to have you back anytime you want to come back or bring some more friends with you. Thank you, Busy.
Thank you.
City Manager, are there any additions or deletions tonight?
Lindsay, this proclamation, is this the one we're adding, or was there another one? That's it. Thank you. No, ma'am.
Okay. Whereas since World War II, hundreds of thousands of men and women, including uranium miners, millers, and haulers, have served the United States by building the nuclear defense weapons of the United States. And whereas these dedicated workers paid a high price for their service to develop a nuclear weapons program for the benefit of the United States, including having developed disabling or fatal illnesses. And whereas in 2009, Congress recognized the contribution, service, and sacrifice these patriot men and women made for the defense of the United States. And whereas our workers helped bring victory in World War II and supported the deterrent that brought us safely through the Cold War. And whereas their dedicated service continues to protect the United States and our allies today. And whereas Paducah supports ceremonies, programs, and other activities to commemorate October 30th as a National Day of Remembrance for past and present workers in the nuclear weapons program of the United States. And whereas these patriotic men and women deserve to be recognized for their contributions, service, and sacrifice they made for the defense of the United States. Now therefore, I, Gail Kaler, Mayor of Paducah, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim October 30th, 2016 as Nuclear Defense Workers Remembrance Day in Paducah, in remembrance for nuclear weapons program workers, including uranium miners, millers, and haulers of the United States. So I was happy to be at the Cold War Patriots this morning, their meeting, and gave a welcome to all the people there that have worked at the plant site and who have really been heroes in many ways, equal to people that have served in our armed forces. So we have someone here tonight that wants to make some public comments. So before we go into our meeting, Gary Vanderbo, if you'll come on up, please.
I thought we were at the end, so I'm sorry. Sure.
Do you want to do a time? You can do a time.
Yeah. We do have, try to limit your comments if you can, Gary.
We're kind of following up. And Mayor, I really want to, I appreciate what you just said on the National Day of Remembrance
Here's where I'm a member of the Cold War Patriots, and we had Lamar Alexander. We've been working on this for a long time, 2010, and we went to Washington and met with all the senators and congressmen. I'm here tonight to basically follow up on what we talked about 4 years ago, and we had several nuclear workers. I represent over 375 nuclear workers with about 100 on standby. We're a small company. We've been licensed in Paducah. We pay city taxes. We pay state taxes. We overturned, right now it's roughly $10 million in claims that were already denied. Now, we are not competing with Cold War Patriots. They're not allowed to perform authorized representative duties. It's illegal, according to DOL, and treat the nuclear workers in their homes. There are other companies that are in the same area, and we commend Cold War Patriots for their duties. The one thing I want to say, today I had to come down to City Hall and file a Freedom of Information Act request for the letters that they apparently gave the City of Paducah Police Department on standby duty or whatever the security is, because I need to know why we would continue. I had an altercation with these people in on July 26th, and the chief was so kind to give me all the reports and records. They actually grabbed a cell phone out of my $800 cell phone out of my hand and ran down the hallway. I come to the meeting not to interrupt a meeting. I'm a whistleblower. I can't get out of line. But I will tell you, you all have been very gracious listening to what I did. And Mayor, I've sent you all a detailed email with all the attachments. Carol, I think I said 4 years ago, I commend your outspoken ability to make everybody aware of things that are maybe not kosher. We've now overturned so many claims that I'm being overwhelmed. But instead of getting, and I don't live for accolades, although I'll give you all a copy. I'll pass this around. In September, I received the Commonwealth, an award an award from the Kentucky Justice Association. Now, this award is something that 200 plaintiff attorneys in the state of Kentucky actually awarded this because I overturned all these illegal denial claims. And if you remember 4 years back, Mayor, you asked me a good question. And you started with a question and I interrupted, and I apologize then. But the answer to that question is they're not getting help from Senator McConnell, Whitfield, and Durbin. Well, let's make it across the board. So I represent people at Allied Chemical that were exposed to plutonium, and plutonium wasn't licensed to be an Allied. And so when you start seeing the truth, people don't like the truth. But when I overturn the illegal denials, I become the villain. And Senator McConnell originally said he would help me. But we didn't understand the extent of what's happening to our citizens. There's $1.2 billion using a conservative estimate of the claims that were denied. And I just want to work with you all to, as you said, Carol, let's get that meeting going. And we're going to sit down, and Mayor Paston was there, and he said he didn't really understand what was going on, but he did say, Ed Whitfield and Senator McConnell said, don't use Gary. Well, I already had, and I tried to say it that night, I already had the internal information where the claimants are automatically denied when they ask for help for Senator McConnell, Bunning, and now Ed Whitfield. And Ed Whitfield was unfortunately a victim of what I was producing to DOJ. Now, I want to try to have a separate meeting, and maybe the city manager can, because before that last meeting, I'd talked with Dave Denton. I never dreamed I would be blocked by the mayor at that time. But I want to give you the opportunity to understand what's happening, and this community has got to honor the workers, but also make sure the $1.2 billion and their medical benefits are paid. We overturned recently a claim for a Republican magistrate, or a man running for Republican office in Murray. 14 years his mother had been denied, no help from Senator McConnell, Marty Wiles. I got to be a name dropper here. In 60 days, I had her money, and we're getting the total amount for her right now. So I want to bring this up to the chief back here. Chief got videotapes of the incident in July. Today, I was accosted in the parking lot of the Jegan, Carroll, prevention sit with some of my claimants. Now, do we have a contract with Cold War Patriots that allows Cold War Patriots to come into Paducah with police officers wearing badges and cameras? And he was a great kid, believe me. I don't want to say anything about the chief's policeman. But when I got the evidence from the first FOIA request, clearly the admission of grabbing my cell phone is a theft. And it's an $800 cell phone. I then went to Mayfield, and they did the same thing there. And I know the sheriff in Mayfield, and I'm sure the police chief got that record too. I'm just trying to say, where is this coming to an end? The nuclear work, and the other lady that was coming tonight, her son is disabled and he got sick, so she won't be speaking. But she was here on the video in 2012, August 28th. So, Sandra, I think you were the only one not on the board, but we're just asking for somebody to hold this private meeting that, well, I think, Richard, you were here that night. And so the workers need somebody to listen to me, because I'm a nuclear whistleblower. I have nothing but my desire to help everybody get compensated that has not been paid in Paducah while they're paid at Rocky Flats, Hanford, Portsmouth, and Oak Ridge. Now that's called, if there's an attorney in the room, that's called disparate treatment. Don't discriminate against my coworkers. And I really would like to retire someday. But the way this is going, I'm going to have to lead the whole nation, apparently. Hey, Richard, I appreciate that. That's all I'm going to say. I've got the documents already sent to you. The Cold War Patriot letter that they wrote me, that was handed to me today by the police officer. We need to make sure that when we're told that citizens can't attend a meeting, Gail, I was hoping you were in attendance. I just missed. I was running late. Came in the front door to be a nice little gentleman. But we got to have people in this community understand. I've been doing this for 10 years. And I don't appreciate Cold War Patriots asking me to sign their letter of need for Senator McConnell and then turn the guns on me. Because they don't turn the guns on Gary Vanderbilt. Okay? I've got to do it proper, and I want you all, I'm not a troublemaker. I'm a whistleblower. I've got to be perfect. Sandra, you'll appreciate that. So just listen, Carol, schedule the meeting that we had 4 years ago that you and the mayor and Richard, and we'll give you a work session. And the workers are fed up. It's sort of like what Donald Trump's saying right now. Workers are ready to revolt. So that's all I need.
All right, thank you.
And by the way, there's that Cold War Patriots membership. Talked to the lady running the show personally. She said, we can't pay everybody, and I said, just pay the ones that are eligible. 20% are not the only eligible people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions or anything, Richard?
No.
Thank you. Okay,
Well, I do.
You do?
I do have a question. Yeah, what? I'll try to be brief here. Okay, for the folks that's watching on TV at home, why are the people you're talking about, the citizens you're talking about, the denial of their claim? Was there something different with these workers than the ones that you mentioned that are getting their benefits from exposure to horrible?
No difference. None. My only concern, and maybe it's too early to say, because Paducah whistleblowers, my coworkers at the Paducah Gas Diffusion Plant, filed false claims, $1 billion false claims. For some reason, those claims are being suppressed, and those claims, I can tell you right now, when I have 375 inside detailed claims with all the letters that Senator McConnell has said, I'm sorry, but this is not the result we want to see. These are slam dunk claims. And so, Congressman Whitfield, the evidence was provided to DOJ that his staff was aware that claims were being paid and people didn't even work at the plant. I gave that information to DOJ. Congressman Whitfield, after 2012, had his aides meet with me and 6 other workers. Michael Pape sat right in the room and said, procedures are trumping the claims. Under the federal law, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled, procedures that are adopted are not statutory backed and nor are they regulatory backed. And therefore, every one of our claims are going right down to the federal court. We've got 12 of them filed, and they've been automatically dismissed while the U.S. Supreme Court has said procedures don't override the statutes. Well, of course we all know, Gail, your husband knows that in a heartbeat, but they're not listening. We then appealed to the Court of Appeals, and every one of them so far have been slam dunk knocked out. Sixth Circuit, notorious. In New Mexico, there was just a federal court decision that says no more. You will pay the workers because President Clinton wrote Executive Order 13179 and says you will compensate them, and we apologize. Secretary of Energy was standing 5 foot from me when he said it. Well, let's just look ahead. If the Supreme Court and the Department of Labor and Mitch McConnell and Secretary Thomas Perez are ignoring the law, then I deal straight with Loretta Lynch. You remember Loretta, she got a lot of publicity here hopping on a plane. But I look at this as, where is the truth and honesty and integrity and transparency, Richard? And so recently, let me give you the good news. There's got to be some good news here. There is a new Energy Advisory Board that has just come in. Obama signed a bill. I'm worried that President Clinton or somebody else will fire him as soon as they come in, because that's what happened back when President Clinton came in. So that advisory board slam dunked, unanimous. The DOL was in the room, in the hearing. This is a Federal Register of Review and Comment. I was blocked at the last minute to make my comments, but I'll get them in. You know me. I'll get them in one way or the other, whether they're verbal or not. They voted unanimous to overturn the illegal denials, and all of those claimants that we represent now, their claims are going to have to be reopened. Cold War patriots now go out and take care of the health of these people, but I get the white card. They don't get a white card by using them. So my question is, I don't know how they come into town. The chief is doing the best he can. The last altercation, we had 3 police officers down there that wasting the taxpayers' dollars coming after Gary Vanderbilt.
So,
That's ridiculous.
okay, so you don't have any idea, why these guys' claims are being.
Oh, I got an idea, all right,
Well, I mean,
but I think we better.
speculate,
We,
But you don't, but.
it
okay.
appears that there's disparate treatment and lots of money going around for everybody, because I've had interviews with the DOL final adjudication branch hearings. I've had over 300 hearings, and every one of them come to Paducah, and they like what I do, because they're being told to deny all claims in Paducah. Now, I can't go everywhere else,
I got you.
but you see what I mean? Something's wrong. Because if you go into that with the mentality is, no matter what you do, I've had over 300 hearings, Richard. You're invited to every one of them I have from here on out. McConnell's staff, Ed Whitfield's staff, union president, Donna Steele, Jim Key were in the hearings that people were paid. My claimants go in, they talk and they cry, and I stop them because they're only here for statutory requirements. When I give them the statutory requirements, they tell me they can't do anything. They're going to go back to the big house, and all their claims are going to be denied. Now, you don't think that I would get up here. Sure, Bill Paxton said I make money. Nobody in my firm makes a dime. And I've tried to recruit attorneys after attorneys. Nobody will help. I'm not an attorney, but I sound like one, don't I? I know the law, and under the federal law, I can represent anybody that does not understand this morass of regulations.
All right,
That's it.
thank you.
We would welcome you out to give you a special tour, because I do have the facilities that know how to do it. And I'd like to have attorneys come out too. You won't see them. And the chief.
Okay, Commissioner Abraham, you have the minutes tonight?
I do. I move that the reading of the minutes for October 11, 2016 City Commission meeting be waived, and that the minutes of said meetings prepared by the city clerk be approved as written.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Taylor.
Aye. Under motion, Commissioner Galt, you have that one?
I move that the following documents and bids be received and filed. Documents, notice of cancellation for Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah for October 18, 2016. Certificates of liability insurance, Palace Contracting LLC, Johnston Fire Services LLC. Agreement with MP Lawson Construction LLC for plumbing renovation for Paducah Fire Station Number 2. Agreement with Alltech for purchase of one 2016 Ford F-550 chassis with Alltech model AT37G telescoping aerial device. Barkley Regional Airport Authority Financial Services for years ended June 30th, 2016 and 2015. Bids for engineering public works, 3 snowplows, mounts, and electric overhaul over hydraulic controls. Primary Kentucky Fab LLC, uniforms for EPW and Parks Department, Aramark Uniform Services. 2 stainless steel salt spreaders, Primary Kentucky Fab LLC. 2 utility vehicles, McKeel Equipment, Taps Outdoor Equipment, FDR Honda. Bids for fire department uniforms for fire department, bluegrass uniforms, Seagulls, Galls.
Second.
Okay, City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Taylor?
Aye. Under municipal order, Commissioner Wilson, you have the first one.
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving an Employment Agreement Between the City of Paducah and John Tolliver for Employment as Police Traffic Officer and authorizing the mayor to execute the same," be adopted.
Second.
Martin?
Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, Commissioners. You have any questions on the hiring of our retired officer to our staff?
I do not.
It says we have the opportunity to hire very experienced police officers at a lower cost.
Absolutely, and I tell you, the KRS, the Chapter 95, was added to this last legislative session, and actually, this is going to be very financially and operationally advantageous to the city as far as, because they will require no 26 weeks of going to the academy for training, and also with little or no field training that is required also because they are experienced police officers. And with that being said, the previous previously retired officer will not be part of the retirement system that we would have to participate in. So it has a lot of advantages for the city, and I do believe that with the city and the opportunity to hire up to, in this case, up to 18 officers if the city decides to do so, I think it's going to be a real advantage for the city, both financially and operationally.
Sounds very good.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Taylor?
Aye. Commissioner Abraham?
Upon the recommendation of the city manager, the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah order that the personnel changes on the attached list be approved.
Second.
Any questions for this? City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Taylor?
Aye. Commissioner Galt?
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving and Authorizing the Execution of Agreement Regarding the Conditional Approval of Transfer Station Construction Completion," be adopted.
Second.
I'd like for Rick Murphy to give the commission an overview of this, which is an amendment to the contract with Freedom Waste for the construction operation of a solid waste transfer facility.
Mayor, Commission, City Manager, good evening. Currently, Freedom Waste is reaching a point where they're ready to receive our trucks, and we will be taking those trucks over there tomorrow morning to initiate our, dumping of our trucks and then the transporting of solid waste from the new transfer station. This particular amendment, there were a few items that could not be addressed, and that was due to a 6-inch high-pressure gas main that ran through the property, whereas the approach road that enters the property was over this gas main, and the soil condition and the loads of the truck and the position of the gas main made it such that this gas main was moving. Atmos Energy was called in to look at it. Atmos is actually moving the gas main to provide better utility of the property and for Freedom Waste to have the freedom of the use of the property. But meanwhile, we're trying to work through that with Atmos as they're looking to move contractors in the end of this month and be done by the end of next month, of which Freedom will have the opportunity to totally finish the site. But right now, we're having to take a little bit of a detour on the property, but we are able to use the site for the purposes of which we contracted with Freedom Waste to do. So that's basically what this is covering, and some of the site utilities to get them fully functional.
So they have 30 days to complete some of the other things.
30 days to complete all of the site utilities that are left to be done, of which were delayed somewhat by this gas issue. The gas line will be completed based on the gas company's ability to make the relocation. If that comes late, some of the asphalt will not be complete, but we'll still have full utility of the site, and then that asphalt will be placed as soon as reasonably possible.
I do want to recognize Rick Murphy and his assistant Chris Yarber for working hard with Freedom Waste to bring this together, particularly in the last couple of weeks. One thing I would mention in addition is, as you all know, this site includes facilities for recyclable drop-off. Those facilities are there and operational, but we will probably not promote that with the public for a few weeks while we're transitioning and conducting the necessary public education to let the public know where it's at and how it works, and as well as working with Freedom to get those logistics worked out. But that will be up and running in the next several weeks. Will probably be good to wait with that until after this punch list is finished and a couple other things. So.
And the location, for those that may need to know, is at the intersection of Bloom and State Street. It's a 90-degree turn. It was a 90-degree turn, but now it has the access coming and going into Freedom Waste from that intersection. So again, that is at Bloom and State Street.
Okay, thank you. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kayler.
Aye. We have an ordinance for adoption tonight. Commissioner Wilson?
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Accepting the Bid of McBride Mac, Inc. for Sale to the City of one new 2017 sidearm loading refuse collection truck for use by the Solid Waste Division, and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah accepts the bid of McBride Mac, Inc. in the amount of $250,620 for sale to the city of one new 2017 sidearm loading refuse collection truck, and authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for same.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kayler.
Aye. So we have some ordinances for introduction tonight. Commissioner Abraham has the first one.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, approving a short-form agreement for engineering design services for the hang on 1 second. For the Greenway Trail Phase 4 project, authorizing the option for construction, administration, and inspection services for the construction of the project, and authorizing the mayor to execute of said contract. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The city hereby approves a short-form agreement with HDR Engineering, Inc. for personal engineering design services for the Greenway Trail Phase 4 project. The city is also authorized to execute the option for HDR to provide construction, administration, and inspection services during the construction of the project. Further, the mayor is authorized to execute said agreement. The total compensation for the engineering design services shall not exceed $53,700. Compensation for construction, administration, and inspection fees, if utilized, shall be paid on an hourly as needed basis and shall not exceed $32,000.
Need a second?
Second.
Good evening.
Hi, Steve.
If possible, I'd like to start off looking at a map that you have back on the screen. And it kind of gives an overview of the different development that's been happening along the riverfront, plus what we're planning from here in the future. On the bottom left-hand side, you really see, it's really the terminus of what the existing Greenway is right now at Campbell Street. The Phase 4 Greenway that was just introduced runs from that point along the existing earthen levee underneath the showroom, and then actually underneath the showroom along the existing open space that we have over towards Phase 1B, and then over towards the Monroe-Madison area. The lineal line of that is approximately 3,000 feet from one point to the other. The area from Monroe to Madison over towards Jefferson Street, which is in the top right-hand corner, that's what we refer to as Phase 5, which we don't have we have a funding agreement, but there hasn't been any approvals at this point. We expect as we get through with Phase 4 that we can move forward with Phase 5. The HDR engineering service contract is required by KYTC. They're required of final design plan, specification, environmental review, bidding, and cost estimate. Phase 4, as I mentioned, is roughly 3,000 feet. And we're anticipating the construction to begin most likely in 2018 as we have to get all the reviews from the state. It also includes sidewalks, walking paths within the landmass. A dressed-up pathway under the showroom will be included. There'll be lighting, benches, and trash receptacles along the entire 3,000 feet. A little bit, just a little bit of information on Phase 5. If you remember, that includes the demolition of the existing asphalt in Schultz Park, erosion control, earthwork, storm piping and structures, curb and gutter asphalt, paving and parking, the concrete sidewalking, landscaping, and site lighting within that area from Monroe to Madison on over towards Jefferson Street. But this contract tonight is just for Phase 4, which is that section from Campbell Street over towards Monroe-Madison Street.
Progress.
Yes.
So from where it starts here up to where the Greenway Trail Phase 5 is, just that?
Yes, which is roughly in between Monroe-Madison Street area.
It's not quick enough, but
I know, we should get started sooner.
that's the way it is, though, when you can't write a check, right?
Lots of different organizations.
That's right. Partners.
Partners, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Galt, you have the next one.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Accepting the Bid of Bluegrass Uniforms, Inc. for the purchase of uniforms for fire department employees and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah accepts the bid of Bluegrass Uniforms, Inc. for uniforms for employees in the fire department at the uniform unit prices contained in the bid dated August 5th, 2016, for a period of 2 years beginning upon execution of the contract, and authorizing the mayor to execute said contract. Further, the contract may be renewable for an additional 2-year term.
Second.
Good evening.
Aye.
I think it's pretty straightforward. Our current contract ran out this year. We put it out for bids, got 3 bidders, and our current vendor, Bluegrass Uniform, was the lowest and most responsive bid this year. So we're recommending we go back with them again.
Well, when you all buy new uniforms, about how long do they last?
It depends on, on this bid, we bid 201 items, so it depends on what the item is. Some of the pants and stuff, we're having good luck with the wear on them. There are Nomex, but they're very expensive. They wear real well, and they hold their color real well. As long as someone doesn't tear them, they're gonna last them 2 or 3 years, possibly, you know? But other items are pretty much disposable, you know, the T-shirts and whatnot, they go through a lot of those, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Commissioner Wilson?
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Authorizing the Mayor to Execute a Reimbursable Grant Agreement and all documents relating thereto with U.S. Department of Justice for a Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant Program Award." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The mayor is hereby authorized to execute a reimbursable grant agreement and all documents relating thereto with the U.S. Department of Justice for a Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant Award Program in the amount of $7,030 for assistance with purchasing bulletproof vests to be used by the Paducah Police Department. A cash match of $7,030 is required.
Second.
Chief, how are you?
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, City Manager. We're in front of you again this year with another grant award for vests. This will purchase roughly 19 vests for us, and our match this year is coming out of our FY17 Court Awards program. So, taking drugs off the streets to protect the officers.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Abraham.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Accepting the Bid of Unmarked Uniform Services for the Purchase of Uniforms for Employees in the Engineering, Public Works, and Parks Departments, and authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for same." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah accepts the bid of Unmarked Uniform Services dated September 20th, 2016, and read aloud on September 22nd, 2016, for the Engineering, Public Works, and Parks Department employees for a period of 2 years, and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same. Said contract may be renewable for 2-year additional terms.
Second.
Mayor, Commission, City Manager, it's the night for uniforms. But this is the uniforms that our Public Works personnel wear, as well as our Parks Department. So it's just pretty self-explanatory on that. So, and we've used Airmark in the past. They were our previous vendor or provider for that, and we appreciate their service. They provide good service for us.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Galt.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Accepting the Bid for Sale to the City of 2 Stainless Steel Salt Spreaders to be used by the Engineering Public Works Department Street Division, and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah accepts the bid of Kentucky Fab LLC in the amount of $21,660 for sale to the City of 2 Stainless Steel Salt Spreaders for use by the Street Division of the Engineering Public Works Department, and authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for same.
Second.
These are just replacements of existing salt spreaders that we have. We'll get about 7 years out of a salt spreader that's made of normal carbon steel that's painted. These stainless steel ones should take us to about 12 years. So we're moving into the stainless steel market. Salt and steel are not good combinations. They're not good neighbors.
So that fits on a truck,
Yes, ma'am.
and it has the little propeller
Distributor
light.
on it. Yeah, it's got an auger-fed system that pulls the salt from the bottom of the from the bottom of the container to the distributor that spins and slings it on the road.
So we still haven't bought salt for this year. We'll do
We
that
have,
later.
right now, we have about 200 tons in storage, and then we have to use some of that down to provide more room for storage in there.
Do you like reserve salt, or do you just
That's a
call when you
very,
need it?
that's a very complicated subject.
I
In the
know it
past, we've had contracts to get salt, and since the storms, the heavy winters in 14 and 15, it depleted the ability to have a contract on that. So we buy it as we can get it, and the market price on that fluctuates. We used to buy salt for $42 a ton. In the past couple of years, it went as high as $150 a ton. We've purchased salt for $92 a ton. So we look for opportunities to buy when we can buy. And there's speculative buying of barges out there where people will buy those barges of salt and then sell them on an as-needed basis. So and some of the salt was coming out of Chile. So they don't mind the salt until they have orders. But now it's hard to get bids on it because nobody wishes to bid it. Because there's a lot of, opportunists in that market that creates a problem for that. So
Too much salt in chili is not a good thing.
I'm talking Chile, the country, but yeah, I agree. So, yes, and it's something that we can't
City
predict.
manager tries hard.
Well, there's something,
Comedy.
you know, we can't predict how much snow we might have. We just do the best we can to prepare for that.
Any ideas what kind of winter we're going to have? While we've got you up there.
I'm not a woolly worm expert or
Okay.
anything like that. I wish I had a crystal ball that we could tell and we could tell you exactly what we need, but
All right.
if I did, I wouldn't be working here. I'd be probably making a lot more money making
take
other
care of it.
predictions.
Okay, Commissioner Wilson.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Accepting the Bid for Sale to the City of 3 Snowplows, Mounts, and Electric Over Hydraulic Controls to be used by the Engineering Public Works Department Street Division, and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah accepts the bid of Kentucky Fab LLC in the amount of $24,291 for sale to the City of 3 snowplows, mounts, and electric over hydraulic controls for use by the Street Division of the Engineering Public Works Department, and authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for same.
Second.
Similarly to your last ordinance that you introduced, again, these are replacement parts for some aging equipment that we have.
Okay. Commissioner Abraham.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Accepting the Bid for Sale to the City of 2 Utility Vehicles for Use in the Parks Department, and authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for same." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah accepts the bid of McKeel Equipment Company, Inc. in the total amount of $28,269.82 for the purchase of 2 utility vehicles for use in the Parks Department, and authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for same.
Second.
These utility vehicles, you recall seeing small vehicles like just a small utility vehicle that could go out over the grounds and carry tools and equipment and chainsaws and things like that, like a gator, so to speak. It's not a full-size vehicle or anything like that, but we use them in the Park Services Department to get to places that normal vehicles couldn't get to carry materials, manpower, and equipment in and out of the park. So, and the last ones, I believe, were about 10 years old. The ones that we're phasing out are about 10 years old.
And all 3 of our bidders were from Paducah.
Which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm, that is. Okay, we have the city manager's report. Thank you,
Thank you,
Rick.
Mayor. Mark Thompson asked me to share with you all that today the bids for the construction of the health park were open, and while they're still under review, preliminary indications are that the bids were good, and the base bid is within budget or allocated resource, so that's always good to see.
Great.
What all would that include?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I can't tell you. I'll
It'll
tell
be
about that.
the
There was one
sidewalk area, the community
track and,
center,
exercise equipment.
some exercise equipment.
The first part of it.
yeah. When Mark comes forward with the contract approval, we'll ask him to make a presentation
Sure.
and refresh everybody on what all is involved. There was one alternate that was included in there that was outside of our budgetary means, but doesn't mean that there might not be some interest, a rally around that. We'll just see what develops in the next couple of weeks while the bids are under review. I want to mention that with the approval of the contract amendment with Freedom Waste tonight, and the resumption of local disposal of solid waste tomorrow, comes to the end 10 months of the city of Paducah transporting its solid waste to Mayfield. I want to thank Freedom Waste, who Joe is still here tonight, I believe, for its cooperation in being as responsive as it was at the time that we found ourselves literally needing to turn on a dime in the middle of winter and find a place to take our garbage because the incumbent operator of the transfer station, who was not successful in the new bid process, was requiring a significant increase in our tipping fee for the privilege of continuing to use that facility during the construction of the new one. So again, I think the organization is to be commended, the Public Works Department, its leadership, Freedom Waste, and the City Commission, and the public for its endorsement of that. And I think it's, again, speaks very well for the organization. I will say that as a result of that, and we also mentioned it was good for the trucks to go down the road like that. Rick mentioned that a few times, so it probably increased the life of our solid waste trucks, actually. But it also has provided some insights into some aspects of our solid waste operation that we can take into consideration going forward, including the allocation of resources that we have for it. As you know, also part of the solid waste operation is the brush and leaf pickup, and because we have had, we've been short-staffed for the past few weeks, the city's ability to maintain its commitment for weekly brush and leaf pickup has fallen short, and with the resumption of local disposal of solid waste tomorrow will come the freeing up of some resources so we can get after that and get that caught up. And going forward, however, I think it is important that the city take a look at that program and determine whether or not all aspects of it are sensible going forward. I think, and I will say this, that a once a week pickup of brush and leaves is highly unusual for city government to have a program that has that frequent of a collection year-round. There are perhaps times of the year where it's justified, but year-round, I think that's something that needs to be reviewed, because with the shortfall in labor in the solid waste department, we haven't missed a beat in solid waste collection. We've fallen behind in brush and leaf collection. So that tells you where a lot of the capacity of that department is built up for is that once a week yard waste collection program. So I think that there are probably some things that our residents can do at the household level to help make that more manageable and perhaps free up some resources for reallocation within the solid waste department. But we're going to be studying that and bring some discussion forward with the City Commission in the next few weeks, and we'll see where it takes us. I mentioned a couple months ago that we would like to begin occasionally showing Paducah View episodes at the commission level. We have one tonight that we're particularly proud of. We'd like to show you. It's new. It's only about 3 minutes long. It involves our newest department. That's our 911 Communications Department, and the successful effort that was undertaken, has been undertaken to attain accreditation in that department. So, Pam, take it away.
For any agency to achieve accreditation, it must meet high standards of excellence. The Paducah 911 Center is proud to receive a certificate of accreditation through the Kentucky Association of Chiefs of Police. This is the first time our local 911 center has been recognized for its efficient and effective operations. Brent Stringer with the 911 Communications Services Department is here to explain the accreditation process.
We're very excited to know that we are the only 911 center in Western Kentucky that has the accreditation from KECP. So it really was a boost for us to get that. We were measured against several standards that KECP came out with, and we had to ensure that we were meeting each and every one of those before we were able to get the accreditation. The accreditation is good for 4 years. At that time, they will come back and review our current policies and procedures and our security efforts for the facility. And once we can prove through our documents that we are continuing with the accreditation, then they'll extend it out for another 4 years. The accreditation process started in the summer of 2015 where we had to reevaluate our policies and our procedures and our physical security of our facility. Took several months to get through the process of updating our policies and our procedures. We met with the KACP representative in February of 2016, which he then reviewed our current policies and procedures, and we were awarded the accreditation in April of 2016. There were several things we learned in the process. One was we wanted to make our standards higher than what we were measured against at the time, and we wanted to make sure that our employees had better training than they were receiving. And by being accredited, we've got to meet those standards and prove to the KACP that we are doing what we're saying we're going to do when it comes to meeting those elements. The accreditation process for 911 centers come about probably in 2012, 2013, where they had some pilot programs across the state. It's still in its infancy as far as it goes for 911 centers. What we want the citizens to take away from this is that we are a professional organization who have highly trained and skilled 911 telecommunicators that are there answering their calls 24/7, 365 days a year, and have the ability to ensure that the responders get to their emergency as quick as we possibly can.
In addition to the 911 Communications Services Department, the Paducah Police Department also is accredited through the Kentucky Association of Chiefs of Police. The police department has proudly maintained its accreditation since 2004. Congratulations to both departments. Thanks for watching this episode of Paducah View.
Pam, you do a great job with Paducah View. I've gone back and on the website and looked at several of them. Really good work.
Thank you so much. And I have to say, Dan Shepard with the college, we have our contract with West Kentucky Community and Technical College for our Channel 11 productions, and they do a great job with us. Great partner.
And it's just, we talk about transparency all the time, and that's just another layer of transparency that we have here with the City of Paducah. People can go to our website and find any kind of information that they're looking for.
We try to put everything out there that people would be interested in seeing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's important to point out that these accreditations in both these departments, neither of those are requirements of anybody. They're self-imposed standards, and congratulations to heads of those departments and all the staff that play a role in that. And I'd also point out that with the 911 accreditation process, it's a good interdepartmental story because then Captain David White and the police department did a lot of the policy review that was required of that prior to making any changes to get them up to speed with where they needed to be to pass the test for accreditation. So there was a good hand there by the police department. And certainly as we go down the path of providing excellent service to 911 for all the stakeholders, including our agencies that we provide service to, our ability to be able to say that we meet the highest standards that are set there really by peer groups and agencies that we work with and that in some respects oversee us. I don't think we could make a more positive statement about how important we think this is and how committed we are to excellence in that department. Last thing I have, Rick Murphy is going to give you an update on several of our capital projects.
Mayor, Commission, City Manager, it's an exciting time for Paducah. We've got a lot of things coming together. We have a ribbon cutting on the 3rd of next Thursday, for Olivet Church Road. That will be carried on behind the mall. If you were to go through down the 5-lane, that will be called New Holt Road. And we'll block off that portion, and we'll have our celebration there where the road actually went cross-country or on a new alignment. And we did put a map in our flyer there. Maybe, Pam, it would be helpful if we put something out soon, okay, for that. But I'm excited about that. I hope you all are too. We'll have a few little things that we're getting done that won't be totally 100% done. If we get it too much complete, we don't get to celebrate. So we're taking this opportunity to, they're finalizing the pavement, they're finalizing the striping, they're finalizing the landscaping. My office has gotten a few calls about little tweaks here and there, but we're ferreting those things out and getting those property owners satisfied. Your riverfront development project is moving forward very nicely. We're putting the topsoil out on the I would say the Great Lawn area. We're also installing lights. The utilities have been installed to service the dock. I invite you to go down and look at what we refer to as the not revetment, but more the setting stones, what we saw at Clarksville. Those are getting placed. They look very inviting. One thing about them, though, it'd be much nicer when there's grass growing where you see the variation or the differentials in the colors and stuff. Right now, you're looking at soil down there. But that project is coming along, and we are very excited about that to be completed for this portion of the project in the next few weeks. So for the landmass itself, we'll be looking for the dock and the floats that hold the gangways up to be coming in December, and that to be operational by the 31st of January. I don't expect very many boaters to be coming the 31st of January, but that's when we will be ready for the spring for anybody that wishes to tie up and to get fuel, to enjoy our riverfront, and also to spend the night, spend the weekend. There'll be mooring facilities there for them to plug their boats in. They'll have full power. They'll have city water. They'll have sewage pump out, all the conveniences of home on the dock for those boats that travel and those that may wish to come down from the Kentucky Lakes area. I know I've been getting a lot of requests. When are we going to be done? We want to take our boats down and spend the weekend in Paducah. So that's an exciting time coming up. We've talked about Freedom Waste as well. That's starting up. And some of our other projects are coming together. We've talked about our Phase 4 Greenway Trail. Your hotel project is coming along nicely. We're finishing our cut in the wall for the Holiday Inn, once it's finished, for the parking lot, people that park on the riverside to be able to traverse to the hotel side through the wall without an elevator, unimpeded. So that's getting complete, and that's, I guess, a 30,000-foot view of our
Nova
projects
Park
now.
Pond will be going to bid fairly soon on that.
It's in my office for review just prior to bid, so.
How will
Well,
we,
go ahead.
how do we plan to get the word out about when the services are ready down at the riverfront? Like, could we send news releases to St. Louis and Nashville and to all of those marinas?
Actually, there are, I guess, I don't know how to say this, Commissioner, agencies that put out flyers of new things to find on the inland waterways or new places to go on the inland waterways. And I would like, well, it probably costs some money to put those advertisements out, but maybe through tourism or some agency like that.
I mean, will Pam be working with Mary Hammond to get all that out to them, or?
Because there's folks that run the Great Loop and do all this, and for people that have come in through the Great Loop that I've communicated with, they've asked me when we're going to be done. But there's a lot of people that look at those brochures and stuff. They look for opportunities to go to new places, and we need to find out where those are and what are the best, most, I guess, circulated ones to get that.
That's why I'm asking. I mean, I think that we should make that a priority for us to work with either CVB or whoever we need to get that word out early in 2017.
And then also our website or some way to get that out on the web, because they all have Wi-Fi on the boats. So
Mary will be all over that. She'll be getting that out. So it's not really in your purview, Rick. It's more in the Parks Department, but Mark is working with Paducah Power to get lights installed at the dog park, because we've had a lot of request, for people that don't get home in the fall and the winter until it's dark, and then they can't take their dogs out there. So that's going to be a big help. I think the park can be open till 9 o'clock maybe at night.
When do we
Those
expect
lights.
that to be ready? I've been telling people about it after I read it in the notes.
We'll have to have Mark talk about that too when he talks about the park. And Rick, I just wanted to compliment you. I told the city manager, when you drive around town, all these projects that your department does, I never feel like you get enough credit for it. And I really wanted to see you do a PowerPoint presentation and show us, the completed projects that you've done. Cobb Park, it's amazing the difference that those new sidewalks, curbs, and gutters have made over in that area, and gives people a better walking experience. And there's so many other projects around town too. I'd really like to see that up here on a PowerPoint one night and celebrate what we've done all year.
Do we have a week? No, I'm kidding.
You can condense it.
Another great project that's essentially complete, awaiting the furnishing, is the police annex, and I know that efforts are underway in the police department to plan a open house celebration for that and provide tours, and that's been a wonderful interdepartmental project in terms of the amount of participation that's occurred between departments, Rick's and others, and of course that's a real budgetary success because most of the resources for that project came from funds that had been allocated in the operational budget that were not needed or reprioritized for that particular project. So it's you're really going to be amazed when you see that, and it provides a wonderful upgrade to workspace for a number of employees in the police
I
department.
would like to add to the city manager's comments on that. We've had some additions and some changes in staff that have brought new talent to our staff through supervision, through technical expertise that has allowed us to do this, whereas we haven't had that in the past with individuals. But I mean, in our maintenance department, we've got some excellent maintenance workers that have the ability to do some things, some supervision that is used to this kind of work, to work hand in glove with contractors, with the department, and there's a lot of logistics associated with keeping things moving but not losing service. So there's a lot of, I guess, there's an art form to the dance of that, and our staff internally that we have now. Currently, we didn't have that in the past. We do now. So we're taking on a lot more things in-house that actually save you money and provide a better service for our community.
Okay, thank you. Any commissioners' comments tonight? Well, Fountain Avenue Festival was a big success.
I was there for a while. And then, of course, on Monday, we had a big announcement for the Merriman House, so it was great news for them.
Yeah.
And I spent most of yesterday and most of today at Columbus Belmont State Park with the 4 river counties who've come together and started a new WAVE initiative, or it's called WAVE, on regional approach. And they talked about tourism, economic development, education, workforce. They want to start a new river port. So they have a lot of great things going on, a lot of unity going on. And, they're our partners, they're our neighbors. So what's good for them is good for us, and vice versa. So I hope we can continue to work really closely with them in the future.
And Bill Miller was there with our river port.
He was. There were several speakers there from Paducah. The governor went from the Merriman House down there to speak to them, as well as the Maritime Administration. A lot about the river industry was featured.
Great. Carol, I enjoyed going through your house for the tour of homes. How many were on that at Fountain Avenue?
I believe there were 4, Steve.
Yeah, there were
Is that
4. I
correct? 4.
think I went. Oh, and they were great. Great.
We had lots of people that came through, so you all did a really nice job.
And so we have a new house going up on, is it Monroe? Near the church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I met a young man who
Yeah.
just was building that. One of our firefighters. Yeah. Yeah. I met that young man. He was so excited. I mean, it was just concrete poured, but he was really excited about his future plans there. It was great to see that.
Lots of good things going on in Paducah. Thank you. Any public comments tonight? Meeting's adjourned.